This is not a typical fitness, mindset, nutrition video the way I do them on this channel, but it's a topic that I want to talk about because I struggle a lot with in the past. And not only me in the past, but a lot of guys actually in 2026, like they struggle when it comes to dating life, approaching women, or just be confident talking to women, right? And in fact, I believe it's getting worse. Like every time I meet girls, they're like, Ibrahim, there's just not too much masculine men out there. And it's a serious problem because I believe if you want to be fulfilled as a guy, there are some main things that we're aiming for. We want health, we want money, we want peace, and also we want women. And by the way, this is not me judging anyone on this channel, right? If you're into women, this video is for you. I mean, if you're into men, no judgment at all. But I'm just making this video for guys who are struggling with women, dating life, approaching women, right? Because as I said, it's something that I struggled with a lot in the past, and I took some time this week to reflect. And I actually had someone telling me last time, I think that was 2 weeks ago, but I believe you should start talking about dating in your channel, right? Because I love your style and you seem like very confident with women. It's true, but it's not always been like that in the past. And I can say from my own perspective, when as a guy, even if you're successful on paper, but you still having that lack of confidence to approaching women, I mean, I don't know, there's something that doesn't feel right inside of you. I don't know how to explain it with words, but it's like a natural need for a guy, right? We want to be surrounded by quality women, we want to have nice conversation with girls around us, and we just feel good about it, right? And any guy here has the right to go enjoy his dating life, okay? And this is not a video for you to manage your current relationship, or if you have a wife right now and you're on the verge of divorce. This is not really a video for this type of guy. So just to put things into context, I'm still single. I haven't found the love of my life. I'm not really looking for it right now, but I know for a fact that I'm a guy who's very successful with women. I'm gonna attract a lot of women, and if you go on my DMs, I can show my DMs. There's girls liking me, following me, texting me, even when I walk around. And not only here in Bali. I know some people watch this video, they'll be like, yeah, but it's easy in Bali. But anywhere I've been in the world, I always find success with women. And I don't say that to brag, because as I said, few years ago, it was not like that. I always been a disaster with women. I was never confident. But things had changed over the last years, and I feel like I just want to give back to guys, right? Because on this channel, I preach mindset, self-improvement, but confidence is a big part of it. And something that helps guys to become more confident is, of course, having more success when it comes to attracting, women, right? And, I made this funny drawing because this video, it's more about attracting women, okay? I don't want you to go and start going on dating apps. This is not even about dating apps, right? I don't even use dating apps anymore. I'm more a social guy. I used to do it in the past, but I believe in physical interaction. You meet someone in a coffee, in a restaurant, or just you walk in the street. If you have that connection, boom, you should approach it. There's no need for you to go and chase all of these girls on Instagram. I mean, you can do it if you want, but what you want actually is just captivate attention, right? And learn what is the psychology behind women being attracted with guys. And that's what I talk about this video, right? So I want to talk about some concepts that I learned in theory and I've seen them in practice, and I just connected the dots. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And I want to add my own experience to this. What made me successful in my dating life? What were the feedback that I got from different women, different girls I've been on date with, and how I believe those feedbacks will help a lot of guys out there, right? So you want to be a magnet. Think about a garden, right? imagine you're a gardener and you want to have butterflies. You don't start going out there and chase those butterflies, right? What you do is you have a nice garden, nice flowers, smells good, and you have the butterflies coming to you, right? That's why I talk about the concept of magnet. You want to magnetize things to you and not be the one chasing, right? Yes, that doesn't mean like they're gonna come all to you. More often, you have to make the first move, right? But it's the way you make the first move, that first connection, and that can change everything for you. Okay, so I say you want to be the magnet, and one concept I want to talk about in this video is the polarity between energy, right? If you understand this concept, things will start make sense in your head, and you're gonna understand, okay, what they're actually looking for in a guys. And once you understand that, things will start being easy for you. So let's talk about the concept of energy, right? It's like yin and yang. You have two energy. You have the feminine energy, which I'm gonna use the red to represent it. You have like the feminine energy, okay? And you have the masculine energy, okay? This is masculine energy, and this is feminine energy, okay? Now understand this concept that you learn if you've done some physics at school. You understand that you're always going to attract your opposite, right? What kind of example I can give you? Like think about electricity. If you want to have flow of electricity, it goes from minus to plus. Okay, so you need some polarity. You need some opposite signs for it to create a certain flow. Okay, and that's kind of the concept that you have to think about when it comes to masculine energy and feminine energy, right? You want to be the polar opposite of who they are for you to attract them, okay? And you have to understand, if you want a woman who is on this side of the spectrum, okay, because this is what we want. We want feminine woman, right? We don't want to date some fucking feminist, girls rebelling themselves and think they can step into masculine role. I see that a lot, and I'm like, just fuck it, right? I want to attract a nice feminine girl who's caring, loving, attracting, just in their feminine energy, right? Just be a girl. I think it's I can make another video about that, like how I feel men, I'm not being too much masculine, and girls are not being too much feminine anymore, and that's why it's created all of these conflicts in 2026 right now. And girls think that guys are the problem, and guys think one of the problem, just because we're just stepping away from our natural energy. Girls are not too much feminine, I mean some of them, and guys are not too much masculine. And I believe the reason women are not too much feminine today, not all of them, there's still a plenty of beautiful and feminine women out there, but it's because a lot of men do not assume their full responsibility, like staying in your masculine energy. And naturally, if men deviate from their natural energy, well, women will tend to compensate, right? So women start coming here, men coming here, and everyone is kind of in the middle, and men start being there and women start being there, and it's all a mess, right? So just to keep it simple for this video, if you not attract a woman who's on this side of the spectrum, which is what we want, we have to think okay, how can we be in this side of the spectrum, right? Because if you're looking for a feminine woman, well, naturally they're looking for a masculine man. So ask yourself, what traits do I need to adopt right now to be perceived and to actually be a masculine man, okay? And that's exactly what I want to talk in this video. And one of the first thing that I believe that every man every man should embrace, one of the top quality of masculine men is leadership. Okay, that's the first thing. Because understand, women in their feminine energy want to be taken care of. Okay, they don't like making decisions, right? They want to stay in their feminine energy. They want to relax. And if they want to relax, of course, they want someone to lead them, show them the way, make decisions for them. And that's why leadership is an important trait for a guy who's looking to be more masculine. You have to learn to lead. But unfortunately, you're never going to be able to lead someone if you don't lead yourself first. Right? How are you showing up every single day? Do you stick on your word, or are you breaking your promises? Right? Do you have a goal you're working towards? Right? Do you show up when things is hard? And I'm gonna talk about fitness. Why I believe fitness is very important to be a masculine man is because if you're on a fitness journey and you aim to become the best version of yourself physically, well, naturally you're going to embrace all of these traits. Guys think that, oh, girl, what they looking for a physique only. No, the physique is a byproduct of you embracing these traits. Okay, I just want to make clear things on this video, breaking some limiting beliefs, because that's something I used to think a lot in the past. I used to believe that women, what they want is money. But this is fucking wrong, okay? Understand that if a woman is after you for money, that's not you she wants, is the fucking money, okay? And in fact, all of my successful dates that I have are the dates where I didn't try to be someone else. I just been myself. Not try to flex, this and that. Surprisingly, most of the days where I was I'm going to impress the girl, spend the most money, those are failures, right? And the days where I kept them very, very simple, that's what I've been successful. So one limiting belief is I'm not gonna talk about you need to make money, you need to be rich, right? Yes, of course, you should be aiming to have money, but it's not everything. Money does not gonna make you as a man. If you embrace all of this trait and you're the best version of yourself and you have money, that's a great asset. Go for it. I want to make a lot of money in my life, but also I'm willing to become the best version of myself. There's a lot of guys out there they have money, but they douchebag, they fucking unhealthy, and trust me, women have no interest in having them. Okay? So coming back here, one of the most important traits is leadership, right? Because women in the feminine energy want to be led. You're never gonna be able to lead someone if you don't learn to lead yourself first. And that brings me to the second point, which I believe is very, very important, is having high standards. Standards. Is that with a T or a T? I'm not sure anymore. Standards. Okay, yeah. Sorry. What are your standards as a guy? Okay. You need to keep aiming high. That's impressive, for women. Okay, when they see a guy is working towards something big, they are attracted by that. And I said from my own experience. And when I say standards, that can be, the people you're hanging out with, your physique. Okay, you can break that down, but when we talk about physique, if you have very, very average standards, you okay being a 15-20% body fat, that's a very low standards. Whereas the guys who are in top shape, well, they have a great physique because they have high standards, below 10% body fats. That says a lot about you, right? People say oh, physique is not important. I don't fucking believe that. Yes, your physique is not everything. You need like, the personality behind it. But let me tell you something. Women judge. And you judge as well, right? Don't fucking lie. We all say we judge a book by its cover first, right? If you're not attracted by the cover, you're never gonna go and read the book. Same thing, that's how they think about you. So if you have like, a shitty physique, that says like, you have very low standards for yourself. That can be even the food like, you decide like, to eat. Okay? So aim to upgrade your physical standards, right? That's why like, fitness is important. For example, be like, I'm not gonna tolerate anything that is above 10% body fat. Like, bro, if I wake up tomorrow being like 20% body fat, I don't leave my fucking place. That's how like, high my standards are when it comes to fitness. So what are you tolerating for yourself? And that says a lot about you. So upgrade like, your physical standards, and naturally, it's gonna show that you are someone with high standards, and you're gonna be attracting more women. I'm still like, doubting, is it with a D or a T, right? Anyway, just like, you get the point like, for this video. But another important trait, in my opinion, that is super, super important to be in your masculine energy is discipline. And I will add like, slash mindset. Trust me, discipline and mindsets are both very, very attractive. And the reason I say that is because, guys, you don't even imagine how much girls told me, I respect your routine. Like, it's impressive the way you show up like, every day. Because I post on my stories, my meals, my workouts, my morning routine, and they very, very impressed. When they have like, a guy who's very, very disciplined, I mean, that says a lot about you, bro. It says that you are working towards something, right? And you still show up like, every day. You showing like, resilience. You show that you are tough like, mentally. You're not a fucking bitch. Not all of these, like all of these guys, like things like, get hard and they start like eating the junk food. They go and drink like, alcohol and things like that. So they get the dopamine reward. When you are disciplined, it shows that you do the fucking work every day, even when things are hard. And if you have discipline, you have like, the right mindset, like, to back it up. It goes like, together. Like when I'm on a conversation sometimes like, with girls on a date, I can't even tell you like how many of them they're like, I just love your mindset. I just love your mindset. I love talking to you. I like the way you think. None of them told me, oh, I love what's in your bank account. I love like, your watch. They don't give a shit about that. Okay? Because remember, if a woman is attracted by something material that's on you, it's not you that she wants. It's the material things. And they can find that like, anywhere. Whether it's the car, the watch, the money. Okay? If they attracted by you, trust me, work on yourself, your discipline. You're gonna have like, the mindset, and they're gonna come to you. And there are so many traits I can elaborate on, but I'm gonna just keep it short like, for this video. Ambition. Okay? Show that you are an ambitious man. Show that you are working always towards something, whether it's... And when you work towards something, they have to see that it's your main priority. Whether it's working on your business, on yourself, on your physique, on your mindset, right? That should be your North Star. Because if you're ambitious about something, you're always gonna prioritize that. And the reason you're gonna be attracting more women if you're an ambitious guy and having all of this traits. Let's say you have a solid goal, you have like, the plan, you keep showing up every day. That shows that that goal is meaningful to you. And that's the most important thing that you are working towards right now. And when women feel like they're not your North Star, they're not the things that you are going after, you know, when you put them on top of the pyramids, like they go crazy about it. And when you are ambitious, like it's like your goal is there and they are below. And they don't like being in this position, right? Because the moment they feel like they're on top of everything, that's the moment like, you know, you fucked, right? Because one thing about women is their currency is attention. That's the thing that they want the most. They want attention, right? So don't bring your attention of them. Bring your attention on yourself, on your goals, on your mindset, on your physique. And they're gonna go fucking crazy about it, right? And one also thing is, as I said, women want attention. And the reason you should do everything to get like, you know, in best shape, right? Is because naturally, if you embrace this trait, you get in better shape. Well, you're gonna have more women being attracted by you. And the more women you have being attracted by you, the more options you're gonna have. And you have different options where you don't give a fuck if someone goes, someone leave, someone stay, because you know they can be replaced, right? When they start, like, when I had like, you know, dating with women, I was like, okay, I start like, you know, being needy with her. I was waking up, sending her like, you know, the messages and this and that. Like they get annoyed by that. They get annoyed, bro, and it's gonna start losing respect towards you because they have what they want. They have attention. So don't give them attention by fucking leveling up, right? Working on yourself, on your goals, and you're gonna look better physically. It's gonna be more attractive. You're gonna have more women chasing you, and you're gonna just have like, you know, a lot of options, right? And if you have many options, you just don't give a fuck like, you know, who's staying and who's leaving. And that's how you upgrade like, you know, your fucking dating life. And that's how you become like, you know, woman magnet, right? Because once you're gonna embrace all of these traits, well, naturally, it's gonna make you feel confident, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what's magnetic, is your confidence, how you show up for yourself. If you don't maximizing your confidence, well, you're just making it hard on yourself. Because the moment they feel that you are a fully confident man, they're gonna feel safe. That's what they want at the end of the day. Safety. They wanna feel safe with you, right? And the reason they're gonna feel safe is when they feel that you're a confident guy. And how you become like, you know, a confident guy is by this. And the best way actually to build confidence is fitness / personal development. You know, by you working on yourself, your own physique, you stacking all of these wins every day, you showing up like, you know, when it's hard, that's gonna build you as a fucking confident man. The personality they're gonna go crazy for. So, as I say in short, make sure that you work on yourself. If you need help with that, just contact me. Gonna get you there. And what I can guarantee you, you upgrade your physique, you upgrade your mindset, you upgrade your dating life. Just give it a try.